She had a presence, a charisma, as we say today, leadership ability that was really extraordinary. About 3 years after Isabel had been crowned, she secured her position in Castile. The attempt by the Portuguese to deny this to her was defeated, and she was then able to begin the restoration of peace, order, and justice to this kingdom, which literally for almost a century had been lawless, had been poorly governed, or not governed at all. The courts had been corrupt. You could buy your way out of any accusation, and she had to go around personally to restore justice. And she did that, going from one part of the kingdom to another, so was known to be totally incorruptible, to the best of her ability, totally just. Those who had no case to defend themselves fled the country. Those who were innocent of what they were charged with were happy to go before her for judgment. So she restored order to the country in the space of just about 3 years. Perhaps one of the most striking examples of how she was able to change the conditions in the country for the better was when she held a great meeting of the nobility at Toledo in Spain in 1480. Many of these nobles had gotten in one way or another far more land than they should have. They'd been given lands when they hadn't actually done anything to deserve them, paid nothing for them, given no services, and she called upon them to give up a substantial part of the lands that they had gotten without really deserving them. Now, it's almost hard to imagine anyone giving up his own property just because the Queen asked him to, but they did. In great numbers, they agreed to do this for the good of the country. They turned substantial parts of their property back to the government to increase the revenue to permit the continuation of good order and government and justice in Castile. Now, as I said earlier, one of Isabel's great enterprises was the reconquest of Granada, the area of Spain that had been so long occupied by the Moors. And in a 10-year war, this was accomplished from 1482 to 1492. And in January of 1492, Granada finally submitted, and all of Spain was once again brought under Christian rule, as it had been centuries earlier before the Muslim invaders arrived. This was Isabel always saw this as one of her greatest achievements, and it was always her intention, and Fernando's as well, that they would be buried there in a great chapel, and was built to honor them, and where their graves would be placed, and that is where their tombs were constructed. The tombs of Ferdinand and Isabel are to be found to this day in the Royal Chapel of Granada, and the inscription upon them says, among other things, Fernando of Aragon and Isabel of Castile, man and wife united, called the Catholic Kings. The title of Catholic Kings had been given to them by the Pope, and it was one of their proudest titles. The conquest of Granada in January 1492, by bringing an end to great demands upon the public treasury for prosecution of the war, made it possible for Isabel to follow up on her long-standing interest in Columbus by giving him the funds necessary to prepare his expedition, which discovered the New World. Columbus had been rejected by many people who did not understand or appreciate his character and determination and his enterprise. Isabel understood Columbus, respected him, believed that he was a man who could achieve things that no one before him had done. Her judgment of men was always extraordinarily good, and so by supporting Columbus, by taking the risk upon him and giving him what he needed for his voyage, she changed the course of history fundamentally and helped to make Spain the greatest power in the world. Columbus's discoveries, opening up the knowledge of the native peoples of America to Europeans, did lead to many abuses. but Isabel was always profoundly concerned with the welfare of the Indians and consistently refused to permit their enslavement. The same policy she had taken earlier with regard to the natives of the Canary Islands when those were conquered some years before. So she was always a protector of the rights and liberty of the natives under her rule. The church in Spain had become deeply corrupted, as many national churches had throughout Europe during the period of the Renaissance. The church was reformed by Isabel and her great primate, whom she nominated, Archbishop Cisneros, so that it became a tower of strength, so that there was never any sentiment in Spain for the rejection of the church as there was in many Protestant countries. Isabel forestalled that, and it was her patronage more than anything else that made the great church reform possible.